I just recently made this backgammon board. I'll put a picture of it up here. And the points for the backgammon board were all epoxy inlays. And I'm going to show the full build or a series of builds on how I did this board because it was an extremely complicated or long build and it won't fit in just one video. One of the biggest questions I always get asked whenever I'm showing epoxy projects is how do I swirl and how do I know when to swirl and how long do I swirl the epoxy to get the swirls that you see. Oh, by the way, if you don't know who I am Rob Sandstrom, and if you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel, and I hope you learn a thing or two about swirling epoxy. And if you're not new, then welcome back and glad you're here. So anyway, the people ask me all the time about how long do I swirl, how do I know when not to swirl. I've made a couple videos before on that, but I thought this was a perfect opportunity with this project to reiterate that. So in this video, if you stay tuned, what you're going to see me do is go through the process of swirling the epoxy and explaining what I'm thinking and how I go about it. With that, let's get started in the video. Let me start out by saying what you see me doing here is working with tabletop or Moss LV epoxy with medium hardener. So the amount of time I'm able to swirl the epoxy is going to be considerably less than if I was working with a deep pour epoxy. So keep that in mind. When you're looking at swirling, one of the things you want to be aware of is the working time and the pot time you have. Pot time is that amount of time that you can have the epoxy sitting in the pot while you're mixing it, and then the working time is the amount of time you'll have to be able to work with it before it starts its exothermic process and you can't really work with it anymore. Moss LV with medium, I typically have only between 45 minutes to an hour if I'm in a 70-degree environment, which is where I normally try to shoot for. With deep pour epoxy, I might have 5, 6, 8 hours or even longer. It just depends on what the working time is of the epoxy, the ambient temperature. So keep that in mind as you listen and look at the guidance that I'm giving you. So Moss LV epoxy, I'll be using a time frame of maybe getting in 3 or 4 swirls before the epoxy is too solidified or too gelled for me to be able to use it. Okay, we're into it about 40 to 45 minutes now, and I'm going to try to swirl. And I can tell already, I don't know if you can see it, but it is starting to get too thick. It's not too thick yet, but this will be the last swirl. I'll try to zoom in, but if you feel it, it's kind of like moving jello is the best way I can describe it. It's not solid yet, but it's getting gummy to where the chance of actually lapping air into the pour is high. So I'm doing it very gently, bringing it in from the edge. And I'm not getting aggressive with it. So like I said, we're about 40 to 45 minutes into after this pour was initially completed. And this will be the last stir that I do. And I don't know what I'm capturing on the camera, how close I'll be able to get to show you the texture. It's something you learn to deal with after doing it for a while. And you can usually tell when the epoxy itself does not immediately move and fill back in behind where you left it. My most concerns is always on the tip, making sure that it's got a nice full epoxy there. That should be the last time I pop the bubbles also on that board. Okay, now I'm moving to the next board. As I said, you can tell when the epoxy doesn't just move behind itself and fill in. It's more like a thickness. So you swirl real gently. That's my alarm telling me I need to get in there quickly and do my last swirl. I can tell this is right at the edge of swirl tolerance. So I'm trying to be extra careful. Now realize that the swirl you see on the top isn't necessarily the swirl you'll see when you surface it, because there's thermal movement going on underneath the surface of this epoxy because of the way it cures. As an exothermic process. Trying to work through this quickly because I can tell it's really setting up. See how it gels up here? Look at that. That's definitely the last swirl I'm going to get out of that. One more bubble pop to make everything flow and get the bubbles on top, and that'll be the last bubble pop. That's pretty much it when I'm talking about swirling epoxy. And I hope you found some useful information. If you like what you heard and you want to get this out to other people, give me the old like with the thumbs up. Give me a comment, share it. And if you really like what you saw with this, I put these kind of informational videos out as often as I can. And if you subscribe, you'll be notified when they come out. In this video, I covered a couple things about swirling that hopefully you picked up if you hadn't picked it up before. A lot of people think swirling is just one technique and there's a master answer, and it's not just one thing. It's getting the feel for it and touching it. And all I can do, and others that get good swirls, is to try to share with you what we've learned over a period of time. And one of the most important things is that each type of epoxy is different. In this video, I was using Moss LV epoxy, which is a tabletop epoxy, and the medium hardener, which means it's going to harden up faster. And I use that kind of epoxy on my epoxy projects like this so that I can get in and carve a different color or start working on it as I develop my project. If you're using a different type of tabletop epoxy, say one that stays liquid longer, even Moss LV, if you use slow, it'll last longer, then the swirling technique will be a little bit different. And if you're using something like a deep pour epoxy for a river charcuterie, it'll be even different. One thing that I didn't mention in the video so far is the type of pigment you're using will make a big difference. If you're using liquid type of pigments where they're very uniform, one color, then you're not probably going to see any swirl. I've never really seen much swirl when I'm just using liquid single color pigments. If you're using mica powder pigments where the mica powder is mixed in and you've got flakes and different coloring in there, then your chance for getting the swirls are going to be even better. You couple that with when you do the swirling, and you're going to make a huge difference in the results and what you see for swirling. These swirls won't really stay in place until the last part of where the epoxy is starting to cure and starting to flash over to be a little thicker and gelling. In this case, the epoxy starts to do that in about 30 minutes or so. So I start every 15 minutes since I'm never sure whether it's going to be a little earlier or a little later. So about right after I pour the epoxy, I do my first stir. Then 15 minutes after that, I do my second stir. And then 30 minutes, of course. Every 15 minutes, I'm doing the next one. And usually by the time I hit 30 to 45 minutes, and in this case, I did 4 stirs, it's done. And if I was doing a river charcuterie board, then I would be watching what it's doing and watching the curing path, watching the curing time. And as it starts to get into 3, 4, 5, 6, I can't give you an exact time, and the epoxy seems like it's starting to thicken up just a little bit, then I would start my swirls. And like I said, you just have to get used to the epoxy you're using and get a feel for it. I tried to show you in the video how it gels up, and you can kind of get a look at it. If it's not gelling up, then when you swirl it, then the epoxy just kind of flows right away around itself. And if it's doing that, it's probably not going to give you that much swirl. The other thing to think about the swirling is you're going to get some natural swirling no matter what, because the epoxy cures with an exothermic process, and it's moving just from density changes. And so you're going to get some swirl even if you don't do anything. And that's especially true in river charcuterie boards or deep pour epoxies. You're going to get that stirring on its own. There's not even really much of a need for you to stir unless you want to get a little more swirl. And no matter what you do, the epoxy's got a mind of its own. I do hope you picked up a trick or two about swirling epoxy. That is the most popular, or one of the most popular things I get asked about on a regular basis when working with epoxy. And when the epoxy does swirl, it makes a pretty impressive pattern, as you can see in the picture I'm going to put up here of this board. Those swirls turned out really good. I only showed you the brown part. I did the same thing with the gold part of these points. And once again, if you like what you're seeing, let me know that with a comment, like, and share. And if you really like what you're learning, go ahead and subscribe. I already mentioned that before. Hey, if you like what you learned in this video, I'll put another couple videos over here at the side for you to look at on epoxy and other things that I've done. With that, have a great day.